welcome back to my channel and welcome to my 18-week bump date. So I know I skipped a couple weeks there, but to be honest, there wasn't a whole lot going on. These last couple of weeks have felt pretty similar, pretty much the same. There hasn't been anything huge except for, I don't think I've announced this in my latest bump date, but we now have officially announced the gender of our baby. So the big news here is we are having a baby boy. So excited. If I've already said this in a bump date, just blame it on pregnancy brain, because I'm telling you, maybe that's the new thing. It is getting bad. My memory, just like I will be mid-sentence and forget what I'm saying. So hopefully you'll bear with me through these bump days as I try to remember what I'm even saying. But things are going good. 18 weeks. Baby is getting bigger. Baby boy is the size of an artichoke, which is crazy. Artichokes are massive. It's so hard to believe that he's already that big in the size of an artichoke. But it's also not that hard to believe because I feel like I am showing so much. So much more than I was in my first pregnancy at this time. But that's normal because I know your body kind of grows quicker usually with your second, third, whatever pregnancy. So it's kind of fun though, because I really get to enjoy having a bump for longer, and I get to wear the cute maternity dresses and really just enjoy that mama bump style. So that's really fun. So usually in these bump dates, I say how I'm feeling mentally, emotionally, and physically. Honestly, there hasn't been a lot of changes from my last bump date. I believe was 16 weeks. And the only real thing that I can think of that has been like a big change is actually, it's on my memory because it happened yesterday, is I started to have some major anxiety about giving birth. And I'm not even close to that point. I'm not even officially halfway. Almost, but not officially halfway. And I was like feeling so overwhelmed. I was actually in a yoga class, a prenatal yoga class, and sometimes those classes really, I think just because you're sitting and being so much more present and reflecting on things in those classes, it just was like really, really intense. And I started to think about birth, and I started to have like so much anxiety, and I started to freak out. And then I got home from class, I literally was crying. I was like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do birth again. And I think that definitely stems from my last birth, which wasn't traumatic. Honestly, it wasn't traumatic. It was just so long. With my first pregnancy, since this is my second baby, my first pregnancy, I was actually in labor, I think it was like 56 hours or something crazy, and I had a lot of really high expectations going into it. I really wanted a natural birth. I wanted like no intervention or anything whatsoever. And then I think it was around 30 hours I got an epidural, and everything that I didn't want, I got everything basically. I got the epidural, I got the Pitocin, yeah, basically. So I was super lucky and grateful that I was able to give birth vaginally, even through that really long labor, and it all worked out okay. And we were healthy, baby girl was healthy, everything, like all of that I'm so grateful for, and that's all that really matters to me. But whew, it was intense. It was a really intense experience. Obviously, all birth is a very intense experience, but that was a long time to be in labor. And I'm like, I'm stressed out already about birth the second time around. And I feel a little differently about birth for my second pregnancy. And this is kind of the topic I wanted to get into for this video. And it seems a little early to be discussing my birth options or birth ideas since I'm not even officially halfway, but it's just the topic that's kind of been on my mind lately, so I'm just gonna share it, and then maybe if it changes down through this next 5 months or 4.5 months or so, then I will make another video because pregnancy can make you change your mind a lot. So I want to talk about natural birth, or whether or not I'm going to be giving natural birth. And honestly, the truth is I don't know. And that's not, I guess what the topic is that I really want to talk about is the pressure women feel to have a natural birth. And I definitely felt that pressure. I don't think every woman does. I think a lot of women out there are just like, they do their own thing, they don't care, this is how they want to do their birth, and they have little control over exactly how birth goes, but they don't care about staying all natural or have these idealistic ideas of how they want their birth to be. I was not that way. I definitely had an idea of how I wanted the birth to be. I wanted it to be all natural. I try to live a more natural lifestyle. I'm not vegan. I am not 100% organic anything or 100% natural, but I'm drawn more to things that are more natural. They feel healthier to me, and that's how I felt with birth. I wanted an all natural birth. I felt like, wow, this is beautiful. This is what our bodies are, our bodies are able to do this, and I wanted to be able to really embrace that without interventions of drugs or pain drugs or whatever, all the things. I didn't want any intervention. I wanted it to be totally natural, and I had like this beautiful idea, yeah. Anyways, that is obviously not how it happened. I just shared with you a little bit about it. If you want to watch the whole birth vlog, I will link that up here or up here. I always forget which side it's on. I will link that in the iCard, and you can go watch and see how it went. But I realize now, after giving birth, and how it didn't go how I expected, and I didn't have my natural birth that I really wanted, and I felt a lot of shame about that. I felt like I kind of was weak, that I didn't have the natural birth that I wanted, so I guess initially I felt like kind of shame and disappointment, like why wasn't I strong enough, why couldn't I do it? And that was a really hard feeling, especially after you've just like given birth and you have like this beautiful little being that has been growing inside of you, and you love them so much, but there's still like all those other feelings in the back of your mind. So that was definitely a hard feeling, or a hard moment to go through. But then after that, after feeling those initial feelings of this is what I'm talking about, pregnancy brain. Initial feelings of shame and whatever the other one was that I said, shame, disappointment, something like that. I then started to feel angry. I started to feel angry about the pressure of having a natural birth that so many women feel. And I know I'm not alone. I wasn't alone in feeling that, and there are lots of other women out there who feel that, especially women who are in more naturally minded like communities, or especially women who maybe try to take a more natural stance on things and they're sharing their lives across social media. I just got really upset about that. I actually was just like, I can't, like, why do we put this pressure on women to have these natural births when it could actually be putting them at risk? It's like, I probably should have gotten an epidural before 30 hours. Like, I got to the point where I was actually in the birthing tub and I was like sinking below the water because I was so exhausted, and I was just like losing it. There's no way I could have physically given birth at that time, and yet like my midwife wasn't really encouraging an epidural. Like, no one was encouraging it. The only one who was like, she probably needs an epidural so that she can go to sleep and rest in order to actually physically give birth to this baby, was my husband, Corbin. He's the only one. And if he hadn't said anything, I probably wouldn't have gotten one, because I so strongly was like, no, I'm not going to get one. And it could have become a lot more difficult of a situation if I hadn't gotten an epidural and gotten some rest and been able to regain some strength. So I'm really glad that he advocated for that and that I allowed myself to listen and just let him take the lead on that. So my big thing is, I think birth, no matter how it's done, is amazing. And no matter if you give birth naturally, through cesarean, through using an epidural, through all the options, no matter how it happens, it does not matter. If you are healthy, if the baby is healthy, it doesn't matter. There is not, the person who gives birth naturally is no stronger than the person who has a cesarean or who uses an epidural, because everyone has different situations. It's just all different. And I hate the shaming. I really hate, or it's not even public shaming. It's just kind of more of like bragging. I think that really puts a bad taste in my mouth. I just don't like it. And I look back at myself and on my videos that I made about how I wanted this natural birth, and I look back on myself and I'm like, ooh, girl, you don't know what you're talking about. And you shouldn't be saying that stuff. Like, yes, it's totally fine if you want to have your natural birth and it works out for you. That is amazing. But you're not any better than the woman who gives birth in a different way. That's the problem. I think that is the problem. I don't like that. So that's kind of my thoughts on it. I am 100% pro epidural, but I don't know. I don't know how this birth is going to go. I think the biggest lesson I learned from my first pregnancy, first birthing experience is I'm going to lower my expectations and I'm going to go into it open-minded. I'm going to just see how it goes with my body, how it goes with the birth, I'm just going to see how it goes. There's a chance maybe my labor goes so quickly there's not even time for an epidural. That would be crazy opposite of what happened in my first birth experience, but it could happen. Or I might get in there and it might be another really long labor and I'm definitely going to be getting that epidural. So my thing is I don't know. I'm not going to go in with expectations. I'm not going to go in with a birth plan. Honestly, I'm not going to have one. I'm not going to have a birth plan like I did with my first one. And I might have some things like skin to skin and stuff like that, but I'm not going to go in with like, no, none of this. And I think maybe even just having the less expectations will just make the whole experience so much better, so much more, just being present with the moment and whatever is laid out before me. So those are my thoughts. Leave yours down in the comments below. I know this can be kind of a touchy subject for people, so I hope I didn't offend anyone. If I did, I'm sorry. I tried to choose my words carefully. And that's all I can do. I can share my thoughts and feelings on things. So share yours down in the comments below, and I will see you guys next week. I'm going to show you the bump. It is definitely growing. And thanks for watching. Be your feeder.